Most Toyota hybrid owners believe their car is saving them fuel every second it runs. That's what the badge says. That's what the sticker on the window promised. But there's an idle behavior buried deep inside the hybrid system that quietly burns fuel even when the car isn't moving, even when the engine shouldn't be running, and even when the driver thinks the car is operating on pure electric power. Over an average month, this single behavior can waste $15 to $50 in gasoline, depending on climate, driving habits, and how often the car sits in ready mode. That may not sound catastrophic, but across a full year, it adds up to $200, $400, even $600 in fuel that never moved the car a single inch. And Toyota never clearly explains why the engine keeps running or how to stop it. After working on hybrids for over 17 years, I can tell you that this is one of the most misunderstood systems in any Toyota on the road. Let's break down exactly what's happening and how to take back control. The core of this problem starts with the hybrid battery state of charge and how Toyota manages it during idle periods. When a Toyota hybrid sits in ready mode, whether at a stoplight, in a parking lot, or waiting in a school pickup line, the system constantly monitors the high-voltage hybrid battery level. Toyota programs the powertrain control module to keep the battery within a specific charge window, typically between 40 and 80%. When the charge drops near the lower threshold, the gasoline engine automatically fires up and runs at idle speed to recharge the battery through the motor generator unit called MG1, mounted directly to the engine. This sounds logical, and in many cases it is. The problem is how aggressively the system triggers that engine start and how long it allows the engine to run before shutting it back down. In most Toyota hybrids, the engine will kick on and idle for 3 to 5 minutes just to push the battery level up by a small margin. During that time, the engine is burning real gasoline, but producing zero forward motion. The car is stationary, the driver assumes they're in electric mode, and the fuel gauge slowly drops. Toyota calibrates this behavior conservatively because the company prioritizes battery longevity over fuel savings during idle periods. That conservative approach means the engine runs more often than necessary, especially when the battery is healthy and fully capable of holding a deeper discharge. For drivers who spend significant time in traffic, drive-thrus, or any scenario where the car sits in ready mode for extended periods, this idle charging cycle repeats over and over throughout the day, silently consuming fuel. Now, here's where the real waste begins. The climate control system is the single biggest trigger of unnecessary engine idle on Toyota hybrids, and most owners have no idea it's happening. When the heating system is active, Toyota hybrids use engine coolant to warm the cabin. That means the gasoline engine must run to generate heat. Unlike a traditional car, where the engine is always running anyway, a hybrid is designed to shut the engine off at idle. But if the heater is calling for warmth, the system overrides that shut-off logic and forces the engine to stay running. In colder climates, this means the engine may never shut off during city driving or idle periods because the climate control system is constantly demanding heat. A Toyota hybrid owner in the Northeast or Midwest who drives 30 minutes a day in winter with the heater set to 72 degrees on automatic climate mode can burn an extra half-gallon to a full gallon of fuel per day just keeping the cabin warm while the car is stationary. Over a month, that's 15 to 30 additional gallons, which at current fuel prices can easily reach $50 or more in wasted fuel. Toyota designed this system because engine coolant heat is efficient and reliable. But the trade-off is that hybrid fuel savings collapse in cold weather unless the driver actively manages climate settings. The automatic climate control mode itself is a major contributor to this waste. When set to auto, the system targets the driver's selected temperature aggressively. It modulates fan speed, air distribution, and most critically, it decides when the engine must run to satisfy heating or cooling demands. In warmer months, the electric air conditioning compressor handles cooling without the engine, which is why hybrid fuel economy looks so good in summer. But the moment heating is required, whether in full winter conditions or even on a cool spring morning, the auto climate system calls for the engine and the fuel penalty begins. Most Toyota owners leave the climate set to auto year-round and never think about it again. That single habit can cost hundreds of dollars annually in fuel that the hybrid system was designed to save. Switching the climate control from auto to manual mode during mild weather gives the driver direct control over fan speed and temperature output. In many conditions, the cabin stays comfortable using only the heated seat function, which draws from the hybrid battery and requires zero engine operation. Toyota includes heated seats in many hybrid trims specifically for this reason, but the connection between heated seats and fuel savings is never explained in the owner's manual. Using heated seats instead of the full climate system during cool but not freezing conditions can keep the engine off for significantly longer idle periods, saving measurable fuel every single day. Another setting that quietly forces the engine to run is the defrost mode. When a Toyota hybrid driver activates the front windshield defroster, the system automatically engages the air conditioning compressor and in many models forces the engine to run to ensure maximum defogging performance. Toyota programs this behavior as a safety measure because clear visibility is non-negotiable. But many drivers hit the defrost button out of habit on mornings when the windshield has light fog or minor condensation that could easily be cleared with the standard fan on a lower setting. Every time the defrost mode activates unnecessarily, the engine fires up and burns fuel until the driver manually switches it off. Over a typical fall or spring season, casual defrost use can add 2 to 3 extra gallons of idle fuel burn per month. That is $10 to $12 gone on engine operation that was not needed. Understanding when full defrost is truly required versus when a simple fan adjustment will do the job is one of the easiest ways to cut hybrid idle fuel waste without any modification or special knowledge. If you made it this far, consider liking this video, giving it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel. This helps me bring you more honest car advice. Now let's talk about the electric vehicle mode button, often called EV mode, because this is where most Toyota hybrid owners leave serious fuel savings on the table. Many Toyota hybrids, including the Prius, Camry Hybrid, RAV4 Hybrid, and Corolla Hybrid, include a dedicated EV mode button on the center console or dashboard. When pressed, this button forces the vehicle to operate on electric power only, preventing the gasoline engine from starting. The system will maintain electric-only operation as long as the battery charge is sufficient and the driver stays within the speed and acceleration limits of the electric motor. In parking lots, drive-thrus, residential neighborhoods, and any low-speed scenario where the car would otherwise cycle the engine on and off to maintain battery charge, EV mode keeps the engine completely shut down. The fuel savings in these situations are immediate and real. A driver who spends 10 minutes in a drive-through line without EV mode might see the engine cycle on 2 or 3 times, burning a quarter gallon of fuel for no forward motion. With EV mode active, that fuel stays in the tank. The reason most owners never use this button is simple. Toyota does not explain when or why to press it. The button sits on the dash, unlabeled in some models or marked with small text that blends into the console. Many owners assume it is for special situations or worry that using it will damage the battery. Neither is true. Toyota engineered EV mode for exactly these everyday idle scenarios. The hybrid battery is designed to handle repeated shallow discharges, and using EV mode during low-speed idle periods actually aligns with how the battery was intended to operate. Avoiding EV mode does not protect the battery, it just wastes fuel. There is another behavior that compounds the problem, and it is one that catches hybrid owners completely off guard. Toyota programs the engine to run periodically even when the car is stationary and no climate demand exists, purely to maintain the catalytic converter temperature. Federal emissions regulations require the catalytic converter to stay within a specific operating temperature range to function properly. When the converter cools below that threshold, the powertrain control module fires the engine to bring exhaust temperatures back up. This cycle can happen every 8 to 12 minutes during extended idle periods, and each cycle burns a small but measurable amount of fuel. The driver hears the engine start, assumes the battery needed charging, and ignores it. In reality, the engine may be running solely to keep emissions hardware warm. There is no setting the driver can access to change this behavior because it is tied to federal emissions compliance. However, understanding that this cycle exists changes how a smart hybrid owner approaches long idle situations. If the car will be sitting for more than 10 minutes, shutting the vehicle off completely instead of leaving it in ready mode eliminates both the battery maintenance cycle and the catalytic converter warm-up cycle entirely. Restarting a Toyota hybrid costs virtually zero extra fuel because the electric motor handles the restart. There is no starter motor grinding, no fuel-rich cold start penalty, and no wear on traditional starting components. Turning the car off and back on is free in a hybrid. Leaving it in ready mode for 20 minutes is not. The ready mode. Idle habit is where the real money disappears. Many Toyota hybrid owners treat ready mode like a traditional car's idle. They leave the car running while they wait for passengers, check their phone, eat lunch, or sit in the driveway warming up. In a conventional car, idling wastes fuel, but at least the driver expects it. In a hybrid, owners assume the car is sitting silently on electric power, and sometimes it is. But the moment the battery dips, the climate calls for heat, or the catalytic converter cools down. The engine fires up and fuel starts flowing. A driver who idles in ready mode for 30 minutes per day across a typical month will burn anywhere from 5 to 15 additional gallons of gasoline depending on the season and climate settings. That's $20 to $60 per month in fuel that accomplished nothing. The fix is straightforward. If the car is not moving and does not need to move within the next 2 minutes, turn it off. The hybrid system restarts instantly. The cabin temperature recovers within seconds in mild weather, and the fuel savings are immediate. Toyota's Eco Mode also plays a role in idle fuel management, though not in the way most drivers think. Eco Mode softens throttle response and adjusts climate output to reduce energy consumption during driving. But during idle periods, Eco Mode does very little to prevent engine cycling. The battery charge maintenance logic and catalytic converter protection operate independently of the selected drive mode. Drivers who assume Eco Mode eliminates idle fuel waste are often surprised when they check fuel consumption data and see idle engine time that matches normal mode almost exactly. Eco Mode is a driving tool, not an idle management tool. The real idle savings come from EV mode, manual climate control, heated seats, and turning the car off when it's not in motion. One final detail that few hybrid owners consider is the 12-volt auxiliary battery and its effect on idle behavior. Toyota hybrids use a small 12-volt battery to power accessories, computers, and the vehicle's startup sequence. The hybrid system monitors this battery constantly, and when its voltage drops below a safe threshold, the gasoline engine will run to recharge it through a DC to DC converter. A weak or aging 12-volt battery causes the engine to run more frequently during idle because the system detects voltage drops and responds by firing up the engine. Many Toyota hybrid owners notice their fuel economy gradually declining over 2 to 3 years without understanding why. In a significant number of cases, the cause is a deteriorating 12-volt battery that triggers unnecessary engine run cycles. Replacing the 12-volt auxiliary battery, which typically costs between $150 and $250 at a shop or $60 to $100 for a quality replacement done at home, can restore idle shut-off behavior and immediately improve fuel economy by eliminating those phantom engine starts. Toyota recommends checking the 12-volt battery every 3 years, but most owners ignore it because they confuse it with the large hybrid battery, which rarely needs attention. When you add all of these idle fuel losses together, the climate system forcing the engine on, the automatic defrost triggering unnecessary engine starts, the catalytic converter maintenance cycles, the battery charge management running too conservatively, the 12-volt battery degradation, and the habit of leaving the car in ready mode, the total waste is substantial. A Toyota hybrid owner who addresses all of these behaviors can realistically recover 10 to 20% of their monthly fuel budget. On a car that averages 40 to 50 miles per gallon under ideal conditions, that improvement is the difference between the fuel economy Toyota promised on the window sticker and the disappointing number the driver actually sees on the dashboard. The hybrid system in every Toyota is engineered for extraordinary efficiency, but only when the driver understands how to work with it instead of against it. Toyota builds the hardware to last 300,000 miles or more. The software is calibrated to protect every component in the drivetrain, but the default settings prioritize durability, emissions compliance, and worst-case scenarios over maximum fuel savings. Taking control of the climate system, using EV mode in low-speed situations, turning the car off during extended stops, and maintaining the 12-volt battery are not hacks or modifications. They are the behaviors Toyota engineers designed the system around, but never clearly communicated to the people who drive these cars every day. The fuel savings are real, the changes are simple, and the car will actually run better because of them. If you are enjoying this video, consider watching this one where I am sharing more secrets that make your Toyota hybrid last well past 300,000 miles.